Butch, have you ever gone into an offseason where you have to replace all 5 offensive linemen and likely 5 of your top 6 defensive linemen? And what kind of goes into that between now and spring practice and getting guys ready to be in positions they've never been in before?
Well, a lot goes into that, and it's a great challenge. And no, I've never been in that type of situation. And that's when we talk about, building this football program. We're down an entire recruiting class in the offensive line position. We're down numbers-wise. And the thing that we have to guard against in this recruiting class is we cannot fix all of our deficiencies in one recruiting class. It takes time. You can only bring in so many players, which I know that's been probably the most talked about topic of conversation in the last month or so. But, we have to make sure we correct and we improve every single position to have long-term success. But you're not going to fix all your deficiencies in one recruiting class. It is going to be a great challenge to replace the offensive line. But I'm also encouraged because, Marcus Jackson gained his redshirt year. Matt Crowder gained some valuable game experience. Kyle Kerbison gained some valuable experience. I'm excited about the 3 freshman offensive linemen that we brought in last year. And then, you couple that with Blair coming in and some other individuals coming in. So, again, it's change. I think change is good. There's going to be a high level of excitement and competitiveness, but playing in this conference when you have to replace as many offensive and defensive linemen as we have to, it is an area of concern.
Well, how big is it for those defensive linemen that, like a Jason Carr and Jalen Miller, Kendall Vickers, that were freshmen last year? Just how big is this offseason to get them ready?
Huge, monumental. And that's why we started our offseason on Monday after the Kentucky game. There can be no wasted days. Our players can't go home and not do anything for 3 weeks. They can't do that, or else they've set back their development. They set back our team development. And so that's why we're in constant communication with them, and that's why we're competing even though we're away for the holidays.
But you referenced the talk about the numbers of this signing class. When other coaches in the SEC are making comments about how many prospects that you're going to take, what do you make of that? Is it people just taking notice of what you guys are doing, or what's your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I don't ever comment on any other one's program because I'm busy concentrating on the University of Tennessee. But if they got time to worry about Tennessee and the numbers, then we must be doing something right.
Coach, I know this is not a surprise to you, but the intensity of having to hold on to your own commitments, is it bigger than what you thought it would be coming in? I know you have some guys on your staff that have been in this league before, but is the intensity of just recruiting kids that have been committed to you for a while caught you off guard in this league?
Absolutely not. Been recruiting day in and day out. And there's a reason why we have the number 2 recruiting class in the country. And really, rankings are rankings. But we have great recruiters on this staff. And it's recruiting. That's part of the process. And that's why I don't talk about numbers. Because it's always in flux. It's ever-changing. Recruiting changes minute by minute, hour by hour. It changes. That's the nature of recruiting. And in this conference, nothing is set until they sign. And I understand that. It's always been that way with the way we recruit. But, I'm excited the way things are going, but nothing in terms of recruiting has caught myself or our staff off guard. That's recruiting. And I'm excited with the individuals that we are. But like I said, you don't ever take anything for granted. And we're in a people relationship business. And I think individuals see we have tremendous people here and a great product to sell. And really, they want to be a part of it.
Butch, in looking to build team speed and strength and depth, do you feel like you're meeting those needs with this class?
I do. We won't know entirely until February signing date. But we are. I think we're taking a monumental step at the receiver position to playing football the way we want to play here. We've upgraded in every single position. But again, we have to make sure that we guard against not placing too much expectations on this incoming class. There's still 17, 18-year-old young adults. Very, very talented, but very, very young. And we'll know more once signing date rolls around because we know it's always changing. But we do. That's our job is we have to try to address and continue to get better and better.
But you referenced the lack of depth, and yet I think you guys played 25 first-year players this year. Have you ever encountered another situation like that, A? And then B, how much emphasis does that place on your all's ability to evaluate and target the right guys in this recruiting class?
Well, I don't think I've ever been part of a year where we were as youthful as we were this year. Youthful, playing in the best college football league in the country and playing the #1 schedule in the country. So I think it's going to end up being a valuable experience, a valuable tool in moving this program forward, because a lot of young individuals gained an inordinate amount of reps. So I think that'll help us in moving forward. And we have a recruiting profile, and we don't listen to the recruiting services. You know, we have a recruiting profile in terms of character traits, but also competitive traits, and then position-specific traits as well. And every individual that we offer a scholarship to, we've done our due diligence and research, and a lot of times it's extremely challenging to do as much research as you can, just because the recruiting process is accelerated as it is. But we have a profile, and we rely on that profile, and we have some very, very good evaluators. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, is the role of coaches at the collegiate level. It's so different, because you have to be able to teach, you have to be able to coach, you have to be able to critique, you have to be able to evaluate, and you have to be able to communicate and recruit. So you have to be able to recruit and sell your program, you have to be able to evaluate the personnel, and then also coach. And the great coaches are able to do all three things, and that's how we evaluate our coaches, in those three areas. But it's a great challenge. But again, we're fortunate to have a great staff here, and Bob Weldon does a tremendous job of heading our entire recruiting efforts.
Regarding recruiting and Twitter, it seems like for a couple of years now, whenever a verbal commitment's made around the country, you'll see maybe some messages on Twitter, just whether it's kind of in code. And now there are some coaches who are putting messages on Twitter that at least can be interpreted as being for specific guys who are uncommitted. How much do these recruits look at Twitter? How much is that a tool? And how difficult is it to kind of walk that line, knowing what you can and can't say on Twitter?
Well, it is a fine line. And each individual recruit is different. You know, some of them are on Twitter, some of them are on Facebook, some of them really look at it. And there's other individuals, we're in the recruitment of a prospective student athlete right now that doesn't have Twitter. So it's, every recruit is its own separate entity. You know, it's their own different thing. So, not one individual is the same. They're all different. But Twitter has become a great forum, a great mechanism to promote your program, to sell your program, to sell your vision. But it's a fine line. You have to also be careful.